successful comedy specials of all time. So even from that, let's just take that. Let's just
pause
there.
Hold on.
Let's pause
there. Was it really that, or you're just saying it's one of the greatest comedy specials?
I said when it came out, it was one of the. It was when it came out. It was one of. Okay, well I'll.
Next week we gonna get them numbers.
Okay, right all right. When it came out, it was one of the most successful stand-up comedy specials at the time.
What year?
And
like 95.
Okay, no, that was in the 2000s. Okay, let's pause there. Let me take that moment and go with that. If Kevin Hart comes out with a comedy special today and is successful, he's got a deal for another comedy special on the table.
You know why?
When that comedy special came out, all of them women should have went on and got individual comedy specials. They should have been rolling because it was good, it was funny. You know what I'm saying? It's like the opportunities just, or even, because I even look at Moonlight, because me and my sister talk all the time about how there needs to be more LGBT cinema. Moonlight came out 2016 or whatever. Right. So successful. Won Oscars, won all that stuff. When is another gay movie that you've seen came out?
Moonlight was an indie film though that somebody bought to put it out there. So have those. That's what I'm saying.
Name one.
I don't watch those type of movies.
Boom.
But
you can name one.
Yeah, because that's the one that everybody's talking about.
One that everybody's talking
about. So go find another movie and go talk about it.
Well,
I only watch what I like.
Okay, well name the one romantic comedy.
And we want to watch what we want to.
Right now. I don't watch romantic comedies anymore.
So you can't speak on anything. You can't talk about it then.
Romantic
even when we talk about like like the superhero movies and everything, I can go down my list. I can go down my head in 30 seconds and give you 10 superhero films.
Right. Even with romantic.
Okay.
And not think about it.
Because these are franchises that exist for over 50 years.
It does not matter.
So there's nostalgia behind it. People read comic books, so when they make a movie or a game, they're like, ooh, I want to see that. Alone. Because when I was a kid, nobody was a kid talking about, ooh, I wanted to see Moonlight. So that's not even a good comparison that you
make. It's not to you.
He's generalizing.
You're not in my shoes.
I'm telling you.
And you're not, you
didn't grow up. There's a million Moonlights out there.
I know this. I have Amazon Prime. I know this, but I'm not talking about
bad quality, bad acting. There's a difference.
And what?
Right. So
in these gay films.
Johnny Depp. When we talked about Johnny Depp, how many of them films that he was in were just independent films that you would have never known he was in? A lot of them. Right. A lot of actors do indie roles. Kevin Hart even talks about it now. Like, yo, one day when I get away,
and then a producer with a multi-million-dollar budget.
Yeah, like Weinstein, who comes and finances the film, people like that. But they're not going to go and be like, yo, here's the money, make this film. At some point, you got to go and raise the money on your own. You go make your film. You take your films to festivals, and people buy it. Fruitvale Station was an indie. Exactly. Every film that the major studios aren't just, yo, we're making Iron Man 8. That's not going through the same process that the Moonlight went, because it's getting the funding from the jump. Moonlight, so you can't watch Moonlight and be like, yo, I didn't like the camera, I didn't like that, because they used the funds that they had to create the art that they had.
Moonlight was beautiful.
Unlimited funds.
Moonlight was shot beautifully.
$100 million to make Transformers.
And Janelle was in it.
You're gonna have the best of the best. Even if the
that's
movie's
why
not
I'm
good.
saying that we need
That's what he's saying.
In that market.
Invest in yourself. That's what I'm saying. Okay,
are we not sitting here hosting a talk show?
Stop arguing about agreeing.
Okay, then.
Jesus. Yes, you guys are.
But I do feel like Moonlight was a good segue of advertising those kind of movies, and I do feel like it should be more of a normal where if a new movie comes out like a Ben Stiller movie, but for that community, I feel like it shouldn't be a big announcement of this is a new gay movie coming out, but more so this is a new romantic comedy coming out.
Thank you. That's all we're saying.
Exactly.
That's all we're.
Once you start saying, yo, this is the next gay movie, people aren't going to go see it.
No one's saying that.
It's a stigma behind it.
That's not true. Because look at
that's why I didn't see Moonlight. I didn't watch it for that reason.
When you heard, that gay movie, everybody.
Don't tell me it's a gay movie. Don't tell me it's a black movie.
Personally.
Don't tell me it's
a
white movie.
Plenty of straight men that were like, I went and saw that gay movie. Man, my girl made me go see that gay movie.
Yeah.
And it did get stigmatized as that gay movie, but it was still
I
successful.
haven't seen The Notebook because that was the chick movie.
That's you personally. That's the thing about you. You speak from your own perspective, but
I
you generalize it.
Now, everybody generalizes. There's not one person that
generalize.
You don't
Yeah, just whatever you just said to me was your generalization of what you were talking about.
No, but
I'm going to give you my generalization.
But you try to put your generalized perspective on, like, it should be from everyone else's perspective.
No.
Well, I'll just say from my perspective at least, I did watch Moonlight with my fiance, and I did notice that although it was looked upon as a movie in the gay community, there was very mild parts, and it wasn't very I would say very flamboyant within the movie. So I wonder if that is going to be kind of the thing where it doesn't have to ease its way in and not be as flamboyant, or are they going to come out with more romantic comedy movies like that, but be more flamboyant, more out there with that? But I think it is going to be more movies like that coming out. I'm not sure if it's going to be as high as the Ben Stillers and so forth, but I don't knock it and that not be a normal thing in 10, 15 years where just kind of a normality. Like last night actually, we went to Columbia Heights, and there was a few gay couples that were holding hands, right? And years ago, you would never see that. You would never. They won't be as out there, but now it's normal, and everyone just can, act like there's not a weird thing about it, or it's just a regular couple. Or
I still don't. I mean, and it's in this area, I feel that way. But when I go home, I know.
DC is like so normal. It's like it's not out of the ordinary at all.
That's why I love living in DC though, because it is like a bubble. So I absolutely agree. But to touch back on what you were saying, I absolutely agree with the whole. We have to fund our own if that's what we want to see.
We're already doing that.
But at the end of the day, I believe that even if it is an indie film or an independent film, there's still, whether it's a small independent investor, there's still somebody who's funding those types of projects.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the level to where you're talking about where it's box office. The Moonlight was box office. Mm-hmm. It's not like it was was it Netflix?
It was box office.
It was box office, right? So to get that, you need the major studio houses that have relationships with
they didn't have that.
That's what I'm saying. But it doesn't take away that it was a good movie or not. Mm-hmm. It didn't have to go to box office. I didn't watch it.
But if it didn't go to box office, it wouldn't have been as successful.
So if it didn't go to box office, is the content itself changed? Is it still a good movie?
But if
one person watched that,
we wouldn't have necessarily known about it.
You're caring about the notoriety and the popularity of the film.
I'm saying.
I'm talking about the core. The core.
I'm not.
Somebody could make the greatest album in the world and one person hear it.
I agree.
And then does that take away? It's not the greatest because million of people can hear the worst song in the world. Just because a million people heard it doesn't mean it's better than the song that the one person heard.
I absolutely agree.
So if Moonlight was good, Moonlight would have been good if it was on Netflix, YouTube, whatever. Because the people that put it at the box office weren't the people who put the money in to create the overall film. The overall film was already created. Mm-hmm. So that's the point I'm trying to make. You don't really need them to make the film. You need them so everybody can be like, oh, it's on the... Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I don't disagree with that. But if you don't get it from them, don't be like, it's racism, it's...
I never said that. I just said that it should be more out there.
Forget them.
The opportunity should be out there.
You gotta work hard.
Because young men and women who are, when you grow up as a person trying to figure out what is this that I'm feeling, like y'all can turn to a movie and look at a guy kissing a girl or whatever, and you know what I'm saying? Like, and young kids, I'm not saying that it should be pushed in their face like that, because it's, as a matter of fact, you're trying to figure out your feelings, but still just the availability that they can see somebody that might be like them, or you know what I'm saying? Right. Like, that stuff does need to be normalized, and even people, who adults who just don't, look at it like that, or who think it's weird or whatever it is, they need to see it. Because I always talk about, even when it's like racism or whatever issues we deal with, a lot of stuff is from ignorance, or it's because we don't hang out with people that aren't like us. So when you see people when you see their stories, when you see that they're just human, and everybody's just trying to put food on the table for their family, when you see stuff like that, then I think that people are more open and accepting. And I feel like I said, the distribution needs to be there. That's the whole point that I was making.
That's interesting you said that, because there was actually a study that was, how many friends do you have of the opposite race of you? And 80% of the people said that they only had friends of their own race. So I do agree that we do need to understand other cultures and other races to really get an understanding of who they are, and then also just get an understanding of people at the end of the day are their own people, no matter who they are, black, white, Spanish, Asian, whatever the case is. It's all about who your upbringing is. Because I've seen even in my family, you know, I have a uncle that's white where I feel like he's more for the black community than some black people are themselves. You know, he's out there protesting and advertising. Even he was a big advertisement for the Black Lives Matter community. And he would go out in Columbia, Maryland, and he would actually go out there and kind of start some of the rallies. But I do feel like there should be more about diversity there.
Absolutely, especially we're in America, and there are over 300 million people here, so it definitely starts with, it's one of those things where I was reading an article, and they were talking about, we've gotten to a place now where we're even segregated, in our own community. So you'll live, neighbors don't speak anymore, or it's just.
Don't do that.
But even in terms of when you talk about policing and stuff like that, and how cops aren't familiar with the people that live in the communities that they're policing, and so we do have. It's as a country, we've lost the sense of community. We don't go out. Even I know when I go back home, I can be on a rental car or something, and nobody even knows who I am. But if I drive down the road, they're out there waving.
Right.
And, I'm like, you don't even know who I am, but you're waving.
Yeah, because I remember that, when I be a kid, I'd be at my grandmother's house, you'd be sitting on the stoop, all the cars drive by, everybody honking, waving. I'm like, Grandma, who that? I don't know, man.
Exactly. Just to let them know. And it's you can't even speak to anybody. You can't even say, hey, how you doing anymore? Because you're going to get a funny look or, and it's as a community, we don't stick together. We don't care about each other. Everybody's for themselves. And I don't mean to say it as a whole, because like you said, there are some good people out there. But as a whole, we just have to come together again. And I think that would be a major start to this whole kind of mess that we're in right now. Is just embracing each other.
So you sound like
who?
Kanye West. Are you going to get Make America great hat again, or are you going to? What are you going to do?
I absolutely don't put me in that boat, because I don't sound like Kanye. I think that was ignorant. I think that was so disrespectful. I have a lot of personal feelings about that.
Did you listen to Ye versus the People?
I think it's so horrible. I feel like it sounds like a men version of The Boy Is Mine or something. It's
yeah, that's what I was.
They're going back and forth
I was telling Larry in the car, it's the yeah but song. I don't want to hear two people say their point.
Especially T.I.
And then it's but this and
because my thing about T.I., I feel like people give him a lot more credit than he.
No, T.I. out here he. Because you're thinking about T.I. as the husband and not T.I. when he's really trying to.
Well, I feel like he always be out here trying to preach this wisdom, but you got more mess going on in your life than anybody.
Yeah, but that's what being transparent is. You going to have two sides of the coin.
I feel like T.I. People look at T.I. like he's a role model, and people really do look up to T.I. He's one of the legends in the hip hop community. So, despite his marriage and all those funky situations he's dealing with, I feel like he was kind of the voice of the people in the sense of he was always representing the black community. T.I. I feel like he was always.
But all of them had. There's points in time when
Get
T.I.
the camera off me, weed.
When T.I. when T.I. said the thing about Hillary, I didn't want a woman to be my president, and then Oprah said something boy please or something. Somebody's always gonna say something at some point that you don't agree with, but you can't just yo just throw him away he's done. If Malcolm X was Malcolm X right now, nobody would have gave him the chance of it.
Absolutely.
Because you would have brought up the drug charges, the pimping charge, all the stuff that I did that. But for real, that's why I know what I'm saying right now is the right thing to say. So T.I., if he's talking about prison reform and voting rights and all these type of stuff that we want these type of people to talk on our behalf for, you got to know at some point he's going to say something you don't agree with. But that doesn't mean that you can't agree with the stuff he is saying that you do agree with.
I agree.
Especially if it's personal stuff.
If
it's something to do with your wife and cheating, it's
right. That's like a marriage.
That don't have you can't look at him like that and be like, oh, when he says we need prison reform and we need to go help Flint. You can't be like, well, you cheat on your wife, so those things, no. That don't make sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. You're absolutely right. I think that is one of the things that. But
starting in one step at a time.
I also feel like I'm glad you said that because I think that that's the thing about social media is because everybody wants that exposure. Like you said, if you say too much, eventually you're going to say something.
If you talk,
stupid.
yeah, exactly.
And I feel like that's the thing because like Oprah, for instance. You know, she's like she was on a talk show for all these years. You know, every day it was written what she was going to say. And like, you don't see her just randomly going off willy-nilly on Twitter.
Because
like,
she knows what her talking points are for everything.
Exactly.
So she's never going to say the wrong thing.
Exactly.
She knows how to speak.
Oh,
and a lot of these people don't know how to speak. And like when Kanye say, I'm a free thinker, you're not a free thinker if there's no thought behind what you're saying. You're just blurting stuff out.
Right.
Like if you can't explain why you think that, then it's not a thought. You're not thinking.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree. So at the end of the day, rule number one, start thinking for yourself.
Start thinking for yourself and keep your ideas to yourself.
Yeah,
Go out here and grind.
Or even just filter yourself before you start. Like you said.
Yeah, Seth will be on the show.
Yes.
Unfiltered.
Not us, yes. We should filter ourselves. But did you guys, I wanted to kind of, before we wrap up today, have you guys heard, there's a lot of people screw up the national anthem, you know, when they perform it. It's been like, it's kind of, they say it's one of those things where we don't remember your national anthem unless you're Whitney Houston or unless you screw it up. And so I feel like there was a performance last night. It was at a hockey game or something, and Lady Antebellum, who's
that's like the worst place to mess up with the national anthem.
Oh my goodness! Could you imagine being black and screwing it up at NASCAR, screwing up the national anthem?
Somebody's got cans thrown at you.
Right. But they were doing the national anthem, and they ended up screwing it up, and I just thought it was so funny. So I wanted to kind of play that for you, and I don't know. It's one of those things where because it's like. I feel like if I was doing it, I would screw it up too. Because there's a line in there where you always want to repeat the line from before, but it's I'll let you hear it, and then we'll talk about it.
So far.
Yeah. Did y'all hear that?
We should get Miranda Sings to do it next.
Like, and as a group, I mean, because y'all supposed to have each other's backs, so I can only.
No, they got each other's backs. In the wrong backs though. She got someone else back, and he got someone else back.
Right. I just thought that was so funny, and I mean because it's like everybody. I mean, you should know those lyrics. Like,
if you're about to sing the song, you should supposed to know the song. Like,
yeah,
it's not the first time you sung that song.
But you know what? It might be genius though, because what are they doing on purpose? And like you said, no one ever noticed you unless you're like Whitney Houston or you mess up.
Right.
I'll mess up on purpose too.
I mean, and that even goes back into what we talked about as far as being. You know, the attention, because that's what we are as people would really do crazy stuff like that just to get people talking.
Like, because that sounded all crazy. That was planned. You can't tell me right now they went up there and then messed up like that. I mean, like the girl kept singing, she was confused. So I think this is whole. They got an album coming out. They're doing a Kanye West.
Yes. Did you guys see Saturday Night Live last night?
I hate that show.
Well, I do too, but you know, Childish Gambino. I didn't watch, but Childish Gambino was on last night.
Not real.
He released a new song. He's just. I feel like he is like a genius that is walking this earth.
Look, my top 5 most, top 3 most talented people: Chris Brown, Jamie Foxx, And after the Grammy performance, I had to put Childish Gambino.
I mean, and then when you look at all that he's doing between TV
and like writing,
producing, acting.
He's in big movies too.
Seriously, Han Solo.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
when does he switch?
All of his, he's got his management.
And he's about to
like
be in The Lion King.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like everything drops at one time. Like he got Atlanta on right now. He got the solo
stand-up comedy.
He got stand-up comedy. He just put a new single out.
Songs are sick. I mean, so creative.
Yes.
What's that mixtape they came out with? Because of the internet. Like that was like one of the best like mixtapes I've ever heard ever.
I just think he is like amazing. He was I actually watched or was reading an interview that he did, and he talked about. Did y'all watch the show Community?
Nah.
Okay. That's well, I didn't watch it when it was on, but I've gone back and watched it on
or something?
It was on NBC, I think. But he was in it, and I didn't watch it like when it was on, but I went back and like I watched it on Netflix or Hulu or something. And he was talking about his experience because Chevy Chase is also in the show, and he talked about how Chevy Chase like really was rude and like dirty and like kind of racist to him, and he talked about he used to call him like boy and stuff like that, and then he said it even got so bad that the director had to come to him and like really apologize and be like, I'm sorry, and he just kind of went along with it, and then Chevy Chase came back and said like, oh, I'm sorry, he felt that way, but that wasn't my recollection. But what are y'all thoughts on that? Like, I just think that's crazy, like a legend like that, would, I don't know.
I like people who are racist that will let you know that they're
up front. Yes,
that's definitely down south racist.
I agree.
That's down south.
And you know what? That's funny because did y'all see the whole the Michelle Wolf thing, the roast last week when she was talking about Sarah Huckabee Sanders?
Yes, that was hilarious.
Yes. Let me tell you, when I watch videos on social media, the first thing I do is read the comments because it's just hilarious.
That's what we're here for.
Exactly.
That's what we're here for.
Yes. And so there was a comment that was like, "It's so rude to talk about somebody like that to their face." I'm like, so now we're like, so it's better to do it behind their back.
Exactly.
What did Donald Trump do?
Exactly.
In your face on Twitter.
Yes.
Everywhere.
And besides that, what's wrong with having a sense of humor? Like, if I was her, I would have been up there laughing or something.
But you can't even say that though. Like,
do you think
it's understandable that she will be offended? Like,
but the event. That's like, okay. And then another thing is because usually what happens is they get up there, the administration gets roasted, and then the president comes back and roasts them back. And so you remember Barack dropping the mic and all of that stuff, and it was a big deal. And you really don't even remember the comedian's jokes that did him because his jokes came back and they were
their
better.
Jokes is to build the anticipation for when he come up.
And so that's how our president can't even take it. Because he can't even go back and give jokes.
But he did a roast already.
He did a roast.
Comedy Central roast.
That's worse.
That's worse. That's way worse. That's unfiltered right there. That's totally
unfiltered. But no, and also he wasn't in politics at that time, so it was based on Donald Trump, the real estate, the apprentice Donald Trump, as opposed to President Donald Trump.
Yeah, because he's gonna hear you're going to jail.
Exactly. But I just think that is something to think about because that is typically what that event does.
But a lot of those, there's like stuck up type people, like.
But that's
so everything is serious. So nobody, even us, like people can joke around, but after a while, it's like, all right, calm down. So if you're already that, don't say anything about me type of person. So, I had this degree, that degree. I went to Columbia. You don't want nobody talking about you. Even for real, you might have anxiety.
Why not be like him and just not go?
Because he probably said you better go.
Right. But do you think that she deserved like a heads up, like, oh, we're gonna give?
No, it wouldn't matter what they could have told her every joke. She was going to that's her personality.
Exactly.
Like she's not built for that.
Right.
She probably was mad the whole week before, like, dang, I
gotta go. I'll be fired by someone else.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Well, it's hard to believe it. We just sat here and talked the whole hour.
No commercials.
No commercials, no music. That's a good show. And as always, we're going to be right back next Sunday, live every Sunday at 1. You can tune in at fcac.org/Radio Fairfax. If you have anything to discuss, you can also give us a call at 703-560-8255. Coming up next, we have the Random Hour. We actually had the pleasure of meeting the host last week, and it's just a show where it's random, so they just kind of build it as they go along. So be sure to tune in. They're every Sunday right after us at 2, and we will meet you right back here next Sunday for more of Unfiltered. Peace.
Yeah, we out.